So, hello everybody, this is the OXI One from OXI Instruments, and it is a hardware sequencer, but now starting with the firmware version 4.4.3, you can also use it as a MIDI controller, which means I can now fully program this device for Bitwig and for Reaper. I can also program the display, so we'll have a very sophisticated controller here where you have pads, control buttons, control knobs, as well as a display. So a pretty interesting device. But first, let's have a look what's coming in the box. It comes with a really nice enclosure, so it's definitely intended to be a device for on the go. It has a quick start manual, and the full manual is available in the internet, so you have to download this as well. And the main device has lots and lots of outputs for CV as well, but I will not step into the possibilities of a hardware sequencer. And for sure, you can also use it as a normal device with Bitwig without my extension as well. So you could also simply sync it up to Bitwig and then use it as a 4-track sequencer. In the box has also a MIDI cable, USB cable, so the usual stuff you expect. So enough of this, let's jump into the device. Before I explain everything you can do with the device, let's do something simple so we can hear something. There is a drum sequencer in here, and let's create a clip with that. So you see here there is a simple thing going, and let's do something pretty simple, just that you can hear something. Let's go back here to this view, which is this arranger mixer view. This might look totally confusing, but it's actually pretty simple. These represents 16 tracks. You can for sure have more if you navigate the pages, but on the top you see the color of the track, at least as close as possible to the color of the track, because I expect it to be full RGB, but it's more about 36 different colors you can use, so choose your colors wisely. But at least if you compare it to the project, you have a blue, a little bit of red, and a kind of orange you can see. So the blue one is the one with the drum machine I showed you already, and the next row is for muting the track. So let's check that out. Pressing mute, it's gone. And the next one is solo, so nothing's happening with solo because it's our only track. And the next one is record arm, so you can also toggle that as well. And the first row for sure selects the different tracks. So you can see here the track information in the display. So the first one was a drum machine, second one is a kind of bass sound, and the third one is simply a polysynth with the default preset, and so on and so on. You also have here the main, the master track, and the previous one is also here effect track. So we'll have all of your tracks into this view. If you have groups in there, you can select them. So for example, this one is a group, and if you select it again, you toggle the content of the folder, so we'll get also all of the subfolders, and if you press it again, you will close the folder. And the part below that, so the lower 4 rows, are then clips. So you see 4 clips here on a track. You already see I have here one drum clip, which is that one. And you see in this red color that this track is also record armed. In the settings, you can also change this, that you can remove this red if you don't want to see it. And if you also find this too colorful, you can also deactivate the non-activated states here to maybe have a simpler view if you prefer that. So for more navigation, you have these 4 buttons here, so you can go to the next page. Maybe let's open that again. So we will have more tracks here which we can navigate. So let's go to the right. We will see the next 16 tracks, and if you go to the left, you are back to the first 16 tracks. And also the scenes can be navigated, and the clips, which moves here the red arrow to the right, and if you go up again, you will be back here as well. You can also go by one if you press the shift key. So now we can move in steps of 1 and also back, and same is here for the tracks. Next thing is the buttons 1 to 4. They will also in all modes do the same. They will simply start the first 4 scenes. So first one starts the first scene, which has content. So second one, the second. So maybe create a second clip here on this track. And here we can maybe create a kind of drum break. And what is possible is to switch to that directly as well if you use the shift button. So let's go back here. You see we got that one playing. And you can instantly switch to that one and return to the first one. So this alternative second option to start clips and scenes is available as well if you combine it with the shift button. There's also an option on the mute button. If you have, for example, muted several tracks, you can simply press the mute button to unsolo all of them at once. Same is here for solo. If you have multiple tracks soloed, you can push shift and mute, and then all the solos will be removed. What is left to talk about is the transport. So play starts the transport, as you already might have noticed. Stop stops it again. And this one executes the pause function. And what the stop and pause behavior is can also be configured in the settings. Same is for recording as well as shift recording. Also, this can be configured in the settings. I have here now to have arranger recording to be enabled, and if we do shift and record, I create a new clip which has overdub enabled as well, so you can directly record into that clip. But this is all configurable, as we will have a look later on in the settings as well. There is another button combination here. You can press shift and stop, and with that you will get in a different menu which allows you to configure settings about the whole transport thing. So the first parameter sets the tempo, but let's first talk a little bit about the knobs. The knobs are not touch sensitive, which is a bit of a drawback. So to see what the knob is controlling in the display, either simply turn it, but then you will also change the value, or you simply click it and you will then see what is controlled by this knob. But you also have these little hints at the bottom which will tell you its tempo, shuffle, metronome, and the position, but that's a little bit maybe too guess. So let's start with the first one. So the tempo, if you want to change it in smaller amounts, you keep the back button pressed here and then turn it around, and then you can also move it in smaller values. Same is here for the shuffle. Also here we can go in smaller values, and also these steps can be configured in the settings as well. If you do shift, you will get more parameters. So here we see 4 parameters. There is a little bit more, but these are now not for turning in this specific mode. It's to activate some settings. For example, this is metronome ticks on off. This is shuffle on off. This is the metronome on off, and this is the arranger repeat on and off. So specific function of this mode, if you use shift, you can change these 4 options. So much for the transport area. We had the transport area, we had this area, we had this one. So let's talk about the rest of the global options, which is here the folder icon, which opens simply a new project. So this gives you the open dialog, and if you press save, you will get here a save dialog, and this is undo, and if you do it with shift, it's redo. So much for that. That's the global features, which are the same in all of these modes. And talking about modes, you can change them, as you might already have noticed, with these 3 buttons. So the first one gives you the arranger view. This gives you 2 play modes. This play modes, which is more for playing scales, and the next one is for playing 128 drum sounds. And then let's move on here to the sequencer. So you get 3 different sequencers. First one is for drums, second one is for notes, and the third one is for polyphonic notes. So everything on board as well. And to change the modes of the display, if you're in such a specific display mode like the configuration mode for the transport, you can press the back button to go back to the normal modes. There are 3 of these normal modes. First one is to controlling tracks. Second one is for controlling layers, for example, like in a drum pad, the different drum pad channels. And the last one is for controlling different parameters, which can be the parameters of the cursor device, or the track parameters, or the project parameters. So everything's on board here as well. But first, let's create a bit more music. Maybe let's go here to the second track, and you can also temporarily activate this mode if you keep it pressed and then go here to the bass, and then you are back to the last view, which makes sense if you want to keep the views. For example, let's say for that mode, I want to use here this normal play view. But what we had before for the drums, I want to see the drum sequencer. And if you go now here back to the bass, you will see I'm in this play mode. And if I go back here to the drums, I'm in the drum sequencer. So this keeps the state if you do it like this, because otherwise, if you just go into that mode, you have to press one of these buttons and then the previous state will be lost. So let's go to the bass. Let's create a clip, because I put that option here in that field. So we have here the clip running, but maybe let's also start the first sequence to have that sound back. Does the job. You can also do quantize, so this is the random button, which is the only button I had left. So quantize is on that button, which might make not too much sense, but it is as it is. So you can quantize it as well, what I have played here. And also the second feature is if you do it with Shift, you will also toggle the main window if there is a window available for this plugin. And this is also always available. So I forgot this for global features. This will always do quantize for a selected clip. And if you do it with Shift, it will always toggle the device window. So we see here the bass line in this sequencer, and maybe let's modify it a bit. So what you see here is currently a selected scale, and the rows of the colors are the root nodes of the scale, and these reflect also the track color you currently selected, again as close as possible. And the scale can be configured if you do Shift and the play button again. So then you will see here in the display the different settings. So first thing you can do is you can select the octave, so this transposes it up and down. And the next one changes the scale. So I have now major scale selected. You can change to minor, and there are a gazillion different scales in there. So choose the one of your favorite. Also, what I forgot, if you long press the knob, it will also return to its default value. So also pretty useful, for example, if you change parameters of a device. So next one sets the root note, the bass note, which is a C here. So we are in C major for that song. And the last one changes between only having here notes in scale, so only the scale notes, or going chromatic. So you will also get the chromatic notes. And again, back to default if I long press it. You can also create a longer note if you press the first one and then the second one, and then you have a longer note. And you can also go into note edit mode. These features I'm showing now will work the same in all the different sequences. So if you long press it, you will go into note edit mode, and there you have also different settings. You can set the gain of the note, you can set the panorama, you can set the length of the note, so you can shorten it again if you want to do that. You can set the velocity, and if you combine it with Shift, you will get even more. You get the pressure, the timbre setting, the chance, so you can also reduce the chance that this note is played. You see it didn't play, again didn't play, now it did play, so that's the chance parameter. And the last one is the velocity spread. And now you ask, okay, where is my ratcheting? Also, ratcheting is available. Maybe this makes more sense to show that in the drum module to have ratcheting here. For example, let's say we want to ratchet whatever this one. You can also edit the drum notes the same way, so it will also go into the editor if you do that. You can also go into note editing by pressing the mod button. And doing it like this allows you to select also multiple notes, so you can change values of multiple notes at once. And if you disable the last one, it will automatically close the edit mode. But we want to look in ratcheting, and ratcheting works like that. You keep the LFO button pressed, and then you can press as many times as you want ratchets on that button or pad, and if you want to reduce it, press the step chord and it goes into the different directions. So let's have a listen to that. Yeah. So now we have something going on. Let's have a look at the mixer. So this is a track mixer we have now selected. So these two modes, the modes on the pads and the modes here, are totally different things. You can use any combination, but you don't have to. So let's have a look at that. So the drum channel is currently selected. So you can change parameters on the drum channel, which first one is the volume. So you can turn it down completely. You can change the panorama. Also here the long press resets to the default value, or also here makes it sense, you know, you turn up delay, long press it, and you're back to normal. So you can do a nice break with that. And back to normal. And you have more cents, and if you do shift button again, you will get even more cents. So up to 6 cents can be directly controlled from this mode. There's also some specific here. There's a hidden mode. If you have playback running, you see there's also a view meter going for this channel. But if you want to see all channels, you can do shift and the config here. So you will see all 16 tracks, the view meters at once, which is a nice gimmick. And you see where is activity on your tracks if you're a little bit lost or confused. But back to normal mode. So next mode is the layers mode. You change again here to the next mode, which is the layer mode, by pressing here the config button. And this is for all devices which support layers, for example, like the drum machine or the instrument layer or the hardware instrument layers and so on. It says select the drum pads. So we need to be sure that we're in a drum mode here and that we have selected that a kick is selected, or that a pad is selected. So then you will see the kick, and here in this mode there is a same hidden thing. So if you do also here shift and config, you will the view meters of the currently selected 8 drum pads. So these are the 8 drum pads, and you can also mute and solo them with the mute button. So if you press mute, we'll now see the 8 instruments, but now in vertical order. So these buttons, select them. They are also colored in the color of the pad. So for example, if I would change here the kick, let's say make that red, you will see the kick goes red. So you can also color code your different drum pads to have a better orientation. So now we can select the kick, I can select the snare, and I can select the hi-hat, which means now I can control this. For example, let's go back to the normal display and say I want to have it louder hi-hat. Oh, we don't have a hi-hat. Let's add a hi-hat here. So you can now change the volume of the hi-hat, and you can also change its panorama, so make it fully to the left. And here you can also add sends to individual drum sounds. You can now add your send level, so you get very groovy hi-hat. But that's too loud, so turn that down again. So pretty identical to what you can do in a normal track mode. And here you also have volume, panorama, and 6 sends. So with shift you get also access to the sends 3 to 6. So much for the layer mode. So the last mode is a parameters mode. And in the parameters mode, you control the cursor device, which is here currently the drum device. But to make this more interesting, let's go here to our third instrument, which is a total boring initial preset of the polysynth. Not very impressive, but nevertheless, let's also create a clip for that. But let's do that with the third sequencer, which I did not show you yet. This is a poly sequencer. So here you can play a chord or whatever you want to play down here. So all the notes you press at once will be stored, and then you can use these stored notes to put them on different pads. Sounds complicated, but it's pretty easy. So let's play a chord. A C major chord. It is saved, so I can now put C major chords up there. Hello. And you can also here use this long version, so you can keep a note pressed and press another one to create a longer version of that. Let's hear that. Yeah. Pretty horrible sound, so let's try to tweak that. Let's go back here to our, we already here are in a parameter mode of the polysynth. So what we can do now here is change pages. So here the behavior changed. You can now navigate between the pages, and with shift you can navigate between the different devices. So let's go to a different page. Let's go to the filter page. And for sure you can also overdub here, record automation overdub. And you will also get the feedback here of what you recorded for automation in this clip. And sure, you can also do other tweaks. You can change the oscillator. What do we have? Sync. Second oscillator is down, so we need to go to the mixer page. Here is the mix. And also here you have more parameters, so it's 4 you see, and if you do shift you will get the other 4. So you can go pretty crazy with that. What I did not show yet is more options you have in all the sequencers, which are also, again, the same. What I already showed you is ratcheting, which is not available in this sequencer, but in the other tools. I showed that already. Note editing I showed with mod, and to configure the setup, you use a Y diff parameter. Here you can set the range. Maybe let's go back to the other so you can see it better here. So here you can change the range, so it will go up and down, and you can select the page. So we're on the first page. You can have as many pages as you want, and then you're asking, how do I set the range? The range can be set within it. So let's have a look at the clip here. Let's make this a little bit smaller. So it's now in 1 bar. And here you can now keep the init pressed and, for example, move it here to the second. And we can go here or even further down. Or you could even go to the second page here. Let's go to the second page. And here you can also say, I want to have the start on the second bar. But let's set it back here to the first one, and the end is the same. So the end can also be set here wherever you want it to be, or fully at the end. And same works. You can also switch pages here and make a longer clip. So we could now say we want to have it go 2 bars. So you do it like this. So back to the first one and it here and have 1 bar again. What else can you do? You can copy notes as well. Here is a copy button. So keep the copy button pressed, select the note you want to copy, and now you can insert it anywhere you want. So with all the different settings you have on this note, all these gain, panorama, timbre settings will be copied as well. For example, to here or to here or to here. So you can copy as many times as you like. And undo is working as well here. So that was copy. You can also delete notes. I'm sure I forgot some options, but just refer to the manual, which explains all these things in details, and there you can still read it up. So 2 more settings for the play mode as well. We have here the layout settings. So in the layout settings, you can set the scale. We already had that, but also with Shift, there's also a layout option where you can say, I want to have these 4 offset into the other direction. You can have it in thirds, in fourths, or sequential, or every 8 notes, and so on. So different options you can do there as well. And the lower one also gives you a repeat function, which I did not show yet. So it's on or it's off. So first we need to turn it on. And this is basically a simple arpeggiator. No, it's actually a complex arpeggiator, not a simple repeat mode, but an arpeggiator. So you see already it uses 2 octaves. You can change that, which is here on Shift. You can set the range. So the range is now 0, so it stays on 1 note. But you can still do it if you press 2. And what else can you do? You can change the period. You can change also the length of the note. Let's go maybe down to 4th. And you can change the mode. So it's currently only doing, this was just up. You can do up, down. Okay, this is pretty pointless with 1 note. So let's go like this. You can also do all. Random is available as well. So many different options. Again, here's reset as well available. So also repeat is here, can also be used with the drum mode. And that's actually one mode I did not show is the drum mode here, which gives you 128 pads. And if you move back here to our drum channel, you will only see the 12 pads which are here in this setup. But if you have more in there, you will see the full 128. So all that content here will be available here for you to play. So you can also play manually. Okay, back to parameters. So this was where we got confused. So this was a cursor device, and you can also switch between multiple devices. So if, for example, we would add here whatever, a delay or something, then you could say you want to go to the previous device with Shift and left. So we're back to the drum, or you can go back to the delay. Okay, and to switch between these other 2 modes, so we are currently controlling the cursor device, but if you go again, Shift and config here, you will go to the project parameters, which are absolutely empty currently. Let's open that, but we could, for example, say we want to have here the whatever high pass on that one. And then you see we have here now the high pass available. Let's check that out maybe. So pretty quick to set up here your favorite parameters into that. Or you can also go to the track parameters where you can set up your favorite track parameters in that, which already contains here the drum machine settings. So as you see, they're already there as well, ready for you to use. I think that's most of it, what's available. So again, have a quick review. We have here the modes, the track, the layer, editing modes, as well as parameters in 3 versions. You have also the hidden modes with the view meters. Then you have the modes here on the right, which is here the track arranger, the clips to start, scenes to start, and these things. And then here we have the normal note play mode. You have here the drum 64 mode, and we have 3 sequencers, the drum sequencer, the note sequencer, as well as the poly sequencer. And finally, let's have a look at the available parameter settings. So if you go to the controller, you see different settings. So for the session, you can say select clip scene on launch. So if you launch a scene here, or a clip, should that be selected as well? Or do you want to have your previous clip still be selected because you are editing that currently? So that's the option here. And do you want to have this red stripe I mentioned here because it's record enabled, and if you set this to off, it will go away. So it's up to what you prefer. This is your action for pressing a record armed empty clip. So if I press here that button, this would mean what should happen. So I set it to create new clip, but you can also say you want to start record, or simply do nothing is also available. For example, if you have a pre-configured set and don't want to screw it up, this might also make sense. Then you have these behaviors here on a start and stop button. So you can say what should happen on stop. You can say you want to return to 0 or pause as well. And same for the pause, which means here the play button. If you press this twice, you can say you want to stop, return to 0, or pause. And then there also the record buttons can be configured with pressing it normally or with shift. And there you have lots of different options what you want to do with that. And I'm not going to read all of them to you. Next setting here, quantize. So if you press the quantize up here, as I showed you, you can say what amount do you want it. It's currently at 100%, but you can also have it lowered to not have a fully on the grid quantization. You can exclude deactivated items. So for example, here, the 4th track is deactivated, which would mean this is that one. If I would say I don't want to see deactivated tracks, this one would go away, and this would clean up your mix view a little bit if you have deactivated tracks, which you don't want to see on the controller. So what else we can have here? The new clip length. So if you chose here to create new clip or to have it here on a record as well, you can say how long it should be. I have it on 1 bar, but you could also go up to 32 bars. There is the knob sensitivity, so you can speed them up, either also the slow mode. If you use the knob in combination with the back button, you can slow it down. So this is second setting. You could have it even slower than it currently is. So let's check that out. You see, if I do that, it will not be at the lowest possible setting. So let's put that even further down. I don't know, let's go to -90. And then I can set it to the dot. If you want to have this precision, it's possible as well. And what have we finally? I have the color all track stage. If you find this too colorful, you can switch it off, and then everything that's not active will go away. But then I think it's a little bit harder to orientate, because you have to remember, is this mute or is it solo? Yeah, the second one is solo. So this might be, it's up to your taste, whatever you prefer. So it's on, so it's off, whatever you like to see. And the last one is the same for the drum pads. So if you go back again here to this mode, you see only the drum pads which have content are here colored, and you can switch that off. Then you will have colors on all of them. This might be helpful if you're using a device which is not a drum device. For example, if you have a drum VST plugin, then it makes sense to have this option on, or otherwise everything will be black. So much for this video. It was unbelievable long video, and this is also a very deep device, and I'm pretty sure there will be more things to come for it. And up till now, what do you think about it? This is a really nice and sturdy device. I forgot to mention that this is all metal. The knobs are metal. They feel really, really nice. Nothing is shaky or anything. Nothing is bad about this device. It's really solid build, and it's something I really would trust to take on the road. Yeah, what do you think about it? Will you use that? Are you missing things? Does it make sense what I did? Please tell me down in the comments. And until next time, make some funky music.